began as a joke, or at least that's what she insisted it was. We were preparing for a friend's anniversary dinner, and she lingered in front of the mirror, sliding into a black dress that drew every eye in the room. I told her she looked incredible, and she chuckled, brushing it off as she always seemed to do these days. "Careful," she teased, fastening her earrings with a sly grin. "Maybe I'll find 2 men half your age tonight." She said it lightly, but the words landed with a quiet sting. I smiled anyway, the kind of smile men wear when they've learned not to pick fights that lead nowhere. "Maybe you will," I said, straightening my tie. "Just make sure they can cover dinner." She rolled her eyes. "Oh please, don't be so dramatic. We used to joke, tease, laugh together. Lately, though, every quip seemed sharpened, as though she were measuring how much I could endure before breaking. For months, she had been different. Constantly on her phone, perpetually busy. I wasn't the jealous type, but when the one you love stops seeing you the same way, it feels like a slow, invisible bruise spreading across your chest. At dinner, she became the center of attention. Laughing, touching arms, soaking up admiration. I sat back, listening half-heartedly to conversations while watching her perform. When a friend asked jokingly where she found all that energy, she winked. "Must be all the young blood around me lately." The table erupted with laughter. I said nothing, just finished my drink and made a quiet decision. If she wanted to play with pride, I'd show her what happens when a man stops chasing approval. The next morning, I booked something special, a private weekend retreat. But not for her. For me. I had spent too long proving I could be the good husband, the patient one, the man who forgave too much. Now, I wanted to remember who I was before her jabs became weapons. When I told her I'd be gone that weekend, she frowned. "Where are you going?" "Somewhere I don't have to be the punchline," I said softly. She laughed, but it lacked the confident edge of usual. Her words hovered in the room like smoke. Light teasing, but laced with venom. "Maybe I'll find 2 men half your age tonight," she had said earlier, adjusting her dress in front of the mirror. It was meant as a joke, or at least that's what she claimed when I didn't laugh. She was heading out with her friends from work, a crowd I never fully trusted. Too much drinking, too much flirting, coming home too late. Still, I smiled, said, "Have fun," and returned to my book. But something shifted inside me that night. Not because I thought she meant it literally, but because she could say it at all. That kind of remark doesn't appear from nowhere. It grows from distance, neglect, testing boundaries to see how much damage can be done without consequence. When the door closed behind her, the house felt heavier, filled with quiet tension. I reflected on all the times I'd let her remarks slide, her flirtations at parties, her casual jabs about my age, my work, my seriousness. I realized I had been shrinking in my own marriage, bending to make her feel bigger, funnier, desired. That night, I decided to stop playing the quiet husband who silently endured. I made a plan, not out of vengeance, but for self-respect. I called an old friend who ran a cabin rental 2 hours away and booked it for the weekend. Then I texted her, "Don't wait up tonight. I'll be gone before you return." No anger, no dramatics, just the truth. When she returned around 2 a.m., half drunk, half curious, the house was dark. My side of the bed was empty, the closet half cleared. On the kitchen counter, I left a note. "You joked about finding 2 men half my age. I hope they make you laugh the way I used to." The next morning, my phone exploded with messages, missed calls, voice notes, each increasingly urgent. The playful tone was gone, replaced by panic. Perhaps it finally struck her. Love isn't something to mock, something you respect or you lose. When she arrived at the cabin 3 days later, the confident woman who had left for girls' night was gone. Her eyes were swollen, hair messy, voice cracked as she whispered my name. I was on the porch, coffee in hand, watching the morning fog lift off the lake. She clutched my note like it was the last piece of me she could hold. "I didn't mean it," she admitted. "It was just a joke." I smiled, not bitterly, but with clarity. "That's the problem," I said softly. "You stopped valuing the things that mattered and started joking about the ones that did." She sat across from me, trembling as she described the emptiness of that night. Laughing, flirting, chasing attention she didn't want, realizing halfway through that it left her hollow, not alive. Seeing my things gone, she felt the air pulled from her chest. She'd waited for me to fight to return, but I didn't. That silence, she said, was louder than any argument we'd ever had. For the first time in years, I let her speak without interrupting. For the first time in years, she truly heard me. I explained how her constant teasing, her comparisons, her jokes had chipped away at me. Not just words, but reminders that she'd stopped recognizing my worth. She cried quietly, softly, finally letting the truth land. "I thought you'd always be there," she whispered. "No matter what I said, you'd never leave." I placed my mug on the railing and said, "That's exactly why I had to." I walked past her without taking her hand. I wasn't leaving out of anger anymore. I was leaving because I had done the hardest part, realizing my peace mattered too. As I drove down the long gravel road, Her reflection in the mirror faded until it vanished entirely, like the echo of a joke that was never funny to begin with.